Welcome to the Cross Border Interviews, the show where we sit down with municipal political leaders from across Canada. Now, our mission on this show is quite simple: shine a light on the dedicated individuals who day in and day out work around the council table to shape the communities that we call home. And for today's episode, we recently traveled to the Saskatchewan Urban Municipalities Association convention in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, where we sat down in person with municipal leaders from across the province. And in today's episode, we are honored to be sitting down in person with Elbow Councillor Brian Ford. Across Canada, our cities, towns, villages, and rural communities are alive with stories waiting to be told. Stories of innovation and economic development, resilience in the face of the housing challenges, and the financial hurdles municipalities overcome every day. At the Cross Border Network, we bring these stories to life. From coast to coast to coast, we're connecting Canadians to the issues shaping our communities and showcasing the people working tirelessly to make them thrive. With your support, we can expand our reach, amplify more voices, and shine a light on the challenges and triumphs of municipal life. For as little as $3.99 a month, you can help us grow and continue sharing the stories that matter most. Join us today and be part of this important mission. Together, we can tell more stories, build stronger communities, and make a real difference. Support the Cross Border Network now. Visit www.crossborderinterviews.ca today. Brian, thank you so much for sitting down with me and talking about yourself and talking about the great community of Elbow, Saskatchewan, here at the 2025 Saskatchewan Urban Municipalities Association Convention. That's a lot to get. I want to start to get to know a little bit about you and get to know the man behind the persona of councillor, if you don't mind. Where did your sense of duty to serve your community come from, Brian?
Well, I worked in a few interesting places. A satellite tracking station, hospitals in Regina, a major beef plant here in the province when it was operational. Met a lot of people, had some good times, good work. Decided we'll retire. Now, a friend of ours had invited us up to Elbow a few times, and we really enjoyed it. It's great fishing out there. There's golf, perfect golf course that we enjoyed, and just good times. We went to visit him one day, and lo and behold, there's a house for sale. So we phoned the realtor and had a tour, and I don't think we got through 2 rooms before we my wife and I looked at each other and said, I think this is the place. So
That quick.
That quick it was.
So what was it about the community that you fell in love with? Because houses come and go, and you can find that house that you love in any community, but
well, this one overlooks the golf course and the lake, and it was in demand, actually. Other people were looking, I guess. And the people, I think, the biggest thing about Elbow are the people. They're friendly, easy to get along with. They volunteer for everything, and that really showed through.
Now, when was the first time you put your name on the ballot for election?
Last term. So I'm starting my second term now.
So if I can do my basic math here correctly, 2021?
Yes.
During that weird election when half the province was canceled and now the other half got pushed back a month because of the snowstorm.
Yeah, whatever it was, some of our friends came along and said, Brian, why don't you run it for a councillor?
And was it a quick yes? Did you ever consider yourself that you'd want to be a politician?
Actually, it wasn't a quick yes.
Really?
Yeah. Some of these people in the community said, Brian, why don't you? And I said, well, I'll think it over. And I gave it some thought, and they came back and said, are still interested? And I said, well, I guess I can. And it went from there.
So, term in a bit, because we're just entering your second term right now,
right.
And we're a few months into it. I would imagine you've come to the realization that you've had to make some very tough decisions around that council table.
Sometimes, yes, for sure. I think one of our biggest achievements since I've been on council is we built a new community center.
Was it universally accepted by the public?
No, it wasn't, but a majority accepted the idea. It went forth. We had a lot of people really got behind the project.
Yep.
And it went from there. We got grants from both levels of government, Saskatchewan and the federal government, and got a contractor and built a great facility. We love it. And now I think that if there was any negativism, it all disappeared and people are behind it.
But how do you make those tough decisions? Because some people are going to be upset at the beginning, but then they'll gradually, like you say, come aboard.
Well, we formed committees to do a lot of things.
Understandable the council, but how do you make those tough decisions? Because you have to put those issues into your own perspective.
Sure.
Today, right?
I think you have to listen to good and bad comments, mostly good. And we sit around a table, of course, as a council.
Yep.
And you get to vote on many issues, and many times actually it's unanimous. So we get along well, work together, and get things done.
So, do you find that people are engaged in Elbow? Like, will they give you their opinion to you if you ask for it?
Absolutely.
Really?
People are engaged, and they want to be. Like I mentioned earlier, a lot of people volunteer for a lot of things, and they see it through.
So there's engagement, and then there's apathy. And when I talk about apathy, the apathetic nature that I see in Canada right now, and this is Chris Brown speaking, not the councillor, so please do not write him, write me. People misunderstand the roles that each level of government plays in their lives. I would imagine, and correct me if I'm wrong, that if I went to Elbow or any parts of Saskatchewan and I asked 100 people, what does the municipality do, what does the province do, and what does the federal government do, there might be some blurring of that jurisdictional line. Do you get a sense that people understand that in Elbow, that if I have an issue with property taxes, I go to you. If I have an issue with my taxes, I go to the province. If I have an issue with healthcare, or because you were the closest to the people, you don't go to Regina, you don't go to Ottawa to do your job, they'll ask you about anything.
We just finished working through our budget for the village, and that's where those things come up, because we also had a property assessment. And those two can get confused, but we worked well to get a budget that fits all of our needs and fits the needs of our ratepayers. And once a year we have a ratepayers meeting, and we present to our ratepayers what that pie looks like and all the parts, and how it'll apply to them, what projects we have going on into the future, and we get a lot of acceptance, actually.
Do you?
Yes, we do.
So why do you think that is, though?
Apathy isn't I don't think that's a big word in Elbow.
So why do you think that is? Because it seems to be a unique place then, but not just the apathy, but the engagement. What makes the people want to get out and involved in the community?
I think a lot of people in Elbow have always been kind of engaged and volunteer and what have you, and they get behind projects really well. They fundraise, they work together, they form committees and move a project ahead.
I love it. So I want to turn to the village as a whole now, and I just need to preface this line of questioning, so I'm just going to turn to the camera for 2 seconds, so just bear with me.
All right.
This is a conversation between the councillor and myself. This is not a motion of council, not a direction of council, not a policy of council. This is his opinion and his opinion alone. He needs a majority of council to support any motion, policy, or bylaw to make it change. So with that, this is his opinion, again, and his opinion alone. It may line up with what's being talked at council, but again, his opinion. I've said that enough that people will still write into me.
Sure.
In your opinion, councillor, at the time of recording this in the middle of April 2025, what do you see as the biggest challenge facing Elbow today?
I think I was just in a session here at our convention for villages and resort communities, and I think one of the biggest things that we are challenged with now is paying for things. Yep. Things like firefighting, things like cleaning up
like buildings?
Buildings. That's another thing that came up in one of our sessions is what do we do with abandoned buildings? How do we clean them up? we have a lot of issues that I realized apply to the whole province, and all kinds of villages and towns our size are faced with the same kind of problems to deal with. And I think that's where we'll work together. We'll consult with our provincial government, and I think that there will be a common ground, hopefully, that we can resolve some of these issues, working as a community and the towns around us too.
Do you feel like you've been able to accomplish that so far? Start that dialogue at least?
Yes, I think so. And again, some of it involves really capable people. We have been lucky as a community to get very capable people, ones that develop golf courses and associated activities with that. We have a wonderful harbor, and that's been developed, and it's still expanding. Just as a matter of interest, we have more sailboats than any place in between Toronto and Vancouver.
What? Wait, what?
Yeah,
what?
Isn't that interesting?
In Saskatchewan?
In Saskatchewan.
Okay, what is the story behind that?
Well, the large lake,
Okay.
nice water, wind. If you have a sailboat, you need wind to power it. And I think just community involvement again, developing
I like how you're so nonchalant that in Saskatchewan there is a place called Elbow with the largest amount of sailboats from Toronto, between Toronto and Vancouver.
Yes.
It's so surreal because you think of Saskatchewan as just being this plain prairie province where it's all canola fields, but there are lakes.
Yes, absolutely. And that lake is a great resource. It's a great resource for summer activities. It's a great resource, of course, for our people in agriculture to do irrigating and all those things that go with that.
So on the flip side of the original question, which is the challenges, I want to talk about the opportunities. What's the thing that Elbow has got going right for itself right now? What's the thing that you look at and say, we have our challenges, but we have this for us?
Yes. The realtors always say location, location, location.
Yep.
We're really fortunate. Our village is right on the side of a great waterway, and that collects a lot of people that want to retire, people that want to come out there for the season and have a cabin or bring their trailers and stuff like that, their seasonal equipment, and we're open to that. We have lots of opportunity. We've got, of course, the lake with lots of campsites. People love camping. They like to get out away into nature again. It's the perfect spot for that. We have lots of facilities for that. We've got provincial parks at either end of the lake, which are within 10 or 15 miles. And I should say 20 kilometers. And,
don't worry, you're not the first Saskatchewan mayor or councillor who said miles instead of kilometers.
So, we've covered seasonal places for the summer, but we also want to talk about development opportunities. Now, most businesses are we need expansion in our businesses. And to do that, I think our council is open to working together. Let's encourage you to come and build and start a business in Elbow. So that's going to be a positive.
So we did just get the 10-minute warning, so I have one last final question for you, Brian, before I let you go, because we are at the convention, and you have convention things you need to do and not talk to me all day.
Absolutely.
What makes Elbow such a unique place to live, work, and raise a family?
Well, safety is one thing that people are concerned about. Clean air, clean water. In fact, our lake is so clean that the RCMP train their divers once a year at our lake.
Oh, wow.
And friendly people. I think that's the biggest thing. Welcoming and friendly people. That's what we noticed when we moved there. First thing, you'll see everybody waves as you drive into town, they'll probably wave at your vehicle. So,
Well, when I come through, they better wave with all five fingers.
Yeah, they will. No, it'll be a closed hand.
There you go. Brian, I want to thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for doing this. Greatly appreciate it, man.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for tuning in for another episode of Cross Border Interviews. Now, if you've enjoyed today's episode, be sure to hit that subscribe button on your favorite podcast platform or on YouTube. We also want to take a moment and thank the Saskatchewan Urban Municipalities Association for allowing us to come and attend this year's convention in Saskatoon, but also record these great interviews on the Cross Border Interviews. Now, if you haven't already, be sure to follow us on social media. And if you want to learn more about the communities and the people we feature on this show and our sister shows, visit us online at crossborderinterviews.ca. Your support means the world to us. So share this episode with your friends, your family, and yes, even your community, and help keep the conversation going. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and we'll be back with a brand new episode of Cross Border Interviews soon. Till then.